For as long as I've been in the wine trade, winemakers have consistently said it takes a lot of beer to produce amazing wine. And because I don't want them to start slacking anytime soon, I'm going to be sitting down with some of my favorite winemakers and getting them all to take on DasBootiful Cape Winelands Challenge. The challenge itself is all about chugging down a locally produced craft beer while still appreciating the world-class wine. Now let's find out who the quickest winemaker is. Welcome to another episode of DasBootiful Cape Winelands, where today I'm sitting with Reino Tiard from Idiom Wines. Reino, thanks a lot for being on the show today.
Nice, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Lekker. So let's jump straight into things over here. First of all, Idiom. What does Idiom mean, and what makes Idiom so unique compared to other producers around the region?
I think idiom is an expression. So what it means is an expression of varietals in a Cape style. We do various different varieties. We do obviously quite a bit of French varietals. We do Italian varieties. Sure. The owners are originally heritage from Italy, so we do a few Italian varieties, and then obviously a bit of Pinotage South African varietal.
Yeah, sure.
So it basically means the expression as an idiom, expression of varieties in a Cape sense.
Lekker. Well, I mean, we'll get to the tasting of the wine in a bit, but the one thing that I can remember from the first time I tried Idiom wines was that you got crazy expression when it came to fruit profile, both on the palate and on the nose.
Yeah, luckily that's one thing we've never struggled with is color and structure, and with that always naturally comes nice fruit profiles.
Yeah.
So we've been very lucky to been blessed.
Yeah, for sure. So I need to ask, why winemaking? I mean, there's so many different occupations out there. What drove you towards the craft of winemaking?
It's a long story. Look, I grew up in a house where wine was always drunk on Sundays or around meal times. So it was something that I've always been exposed to.
Sure.
And then after school, I started working in the marketing and sales first of all. So I realized that I really enjoyed it. But sales and marketing, I felt from a very early age or early time in my profession, it's not really where I felt comfortable.
It's very cutthroat. I'm sure like you have more personal feeling and understanding when you're working with the boat. You know?
Yes. No, definitely. And even the area that I started in is like wine shops where you have to express or sell a multitude of different varieties or brands. It's difficult because you feel a certain place or a certain longing for a certain varietal. You can't just a certain brand, and you can't just sell that. So it was difficult, but it was a good start for me in the wine industry. And I felt that I enjoyed the wine industry, but marketing and sales was not exactly where I felt I fitted in. So when I came back to South Africa, I ended up going to a few wineries during harvest time, and that's when I got hooked.
Okay,
the smell of the ferments, the happenings during the day, and from then on I decided maybe that's the avenue in the wine industry I had to take. So that's what I pursued, and I ended up.
I actually did a harvest in 2014 at Takara, and it was some of the most grueling work I've ever done, but some of the most rewarding work. I always talk about this whenever I talk about the hard work that I did in the cellar that year or whatever, but what I always mention is that the relationships that you make with the people in the cellar is relationships that you'll take till the day that you die. I mean, under those circumstances, the work that you're doing, and I mean, I shed 16 kgs in like 4 months, so it was pretty crazy.
It's not
it's a good time to lose some
Also, the harvest time is strenuous. It's tight on the mind and on the body. Tempers flare. There's a lot of that. You get thrown in together with people for 2.5 months. So it gets tense. It's tense.
So Reino, when it comes to the winemaking process, in your opinion, what's the most important stage?
I think there's a few stages that you've got to pay attention to quite vigorously, and I think obviously first off is grapes. I think it's an old saying, it's a cliche, but I mean you can't make quality wine if you get horrible grapes. So you've got to pay attention to that, to your vineyards and to your fruit, and then already know what end process you're looking for.
Yeah.
You've got to start there to be able to know what your production on a certain block, certain varietal, or certain region would be, because you've already got the end product in mind.
For sure.
So that's an important part is definitely your vineyards. And then I think from there, yeah, it's just managing the rest of the processes.
For sure.
Obviously, you don't want to intervene too much in the cellar. You want to try and keep it as natural as possible.
Yeah.
We use yeast in the winery. I've just found we've done it from the start. So I've always inoculated our ferments. But there's a lot of oats moving
like that,
away.
right?
Yeah.
You get like a consistency in your
and I've
flavor
got a
profile.
control. I've got a control over things that, especially working with so many different varieties, it's difficult for me to pay too much attention to if there's a problem with a natural or a spontaneous ferment, which I've tried with, and I had some fantastic successes, but also some horrible failures. So I thought I'd just stick to the middle way and just inoculate. Look, now I've moved away from inoculating from stage one. I've actually I let it spontaneous ferment for a little bit of the pot, and then I inoculate just for that end to be sure that everything is so yeah, there it's a bit of a just a guidance in the production area.
Okay,
I think probably the important is the vineyards and the grape quality, for sure.
So the wine today is actually your Cape blend. So I wanted to just ask you, what does a wine need to gain that classification? And then also the varietals that make up this blend, what do they contribute to the overall wine?
Look, as far as the legal justification or specification is not set. As far as the ABSA Cape Blend competition or the ABSA Pinotage Association, they like a minimum of 30% Pinotage in the blend, and then a maximum of 70, if I'm correct. So they've set some parameters, but it's not set in stone. It's not a legal thing that you have to have that or have to have.
Okay, for sure.
And the basis obviously has to be Pinotage.
Yeah, for sure. So what are the other cultivars making up the rest of this blend, and what are they going to kind of bring out of the Pinotage? Are they there just to support Pinotage as the leading varietal?
Yes. Look, obviously we want to express Pinotage in the blend. So the other varieties we've always, well, not always, more often than not, used Cabernet then as a second varietal, and then we play around with either Merlot, Shiraz, Cab Franc or Petit Verdot.
So it's quite a big Cape blend there.
Yes. Now we have always got at least 4 varietals in our blend. And it just depends on year to year what we want to add. Do you want to add a bit more spice? Do you want to add a bit more structure, which the Cabernet gives? Do you want to add a bit more fruit from a Merlot or the Cab Franc? Or in the years we find that maybe the bulky varietals are lacking a bit, we add a bit of Petit Verdot just to give that bit of tannin structure. So yeah, it's very much dependent on variety, on vintage.
Okay.
And then you use your building blocks and you build from there.
Okay, like, I mean, the one thing that I can remember about trying Idiom for the very first time was that I was being exposed to muscular wines, like wines of power, but wines of finesse, and wines that also exuberate like a bit of that elegance to them. So the first time I tried the wine, actually I know somebody in the taste room, Rowan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he encouraged me to actually come in and try the wines. So I came up here, we tried through stuff, but I remember sitting there, I think there were 6 wines that we did in total. We started off with the whites and then obviously moved on onto the reds. But from the first one, I sat there going like, oh wow, this is the best wine I've ever had. And then I went to the second one, I was like, okay, no, this is the best wine that I've ever had. And then it just carried on like, what on earth is happening here? Like what you guys are doing at Idiom is absolutely amazing. I think the quality of wine that you guys are the quality of fruit that is derived from this property is fantastic.
Yeah, again, like I said in the beginning, I think we've been extremely lucky. The terroir has been fantastic for the varietals that we've planted. Obviously, early years, it was a bit of a struggle when the vines were still young and needed a bit more guidance. But now once, we were now 10, 15, 16 years down the line since the first plantings, the varieties are settled, the vines have settled, and there's a lot less work that you have to do with the varieties. They basically just work themselves.
For sure. So I mean, going back to the very first question that I asked, is that what makes Idiom unique to other producers? Is the terroir that you've got here? Because it's actually quite chilly out there today, and I mean, you're quite close to the ocean.
Yes. Yeah, look, I think each producer can only play on the fact that his unique area is unique. Nobody else has the same soil as him, nobody else has the same terroir encompasses everything. But I mean, nobody has that piece of property.
For sure.
So I think that definitely plays a huge part. And obviously we planted 23 different varieties on the farm.
That's a lot.
So yeah, and ever increasing.
Is that because of the Italian influence?
Yeah, the owner travels around a lot, and then enjoys a wine, and then we plant it.
Yeah, for sure. You need to produce it.
Yeah, and we see what happens. If we plant it, does it survive? Does it not? Obviously, Somerset West, the wind plays a major part in that. Yeah. So there is some varieties that obviously struggle a lot with the wind aspects.
Because the southeast, the Cape Doctor comes through here quite dramatically.
Yeah, yes, it does, and then it hits the mountains, and then it just kinds of funnels and makes a tornado above the vineyards. So it looks fantastic in November and in December, but by February it looks a bit shoddy. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you the most difficult question of the day. Out of all the years that you've been exposed to amazing wines, to this day, what's been your number one wine, or your favorite wine of all time?
I don't know. There's been a lot of wines over the years. To pinpoint a specific producer, I think obviously being more involved recently with Idiom and with the Italian heritage part and the Italian varieties, I've tasted quite a bit of Italian wine. So I think Sangioveses
for sure
are definitely some of the top wines up. I can't.
You make a great Sangio this side as well.
Yeah, no, decent, half decent Sangio. No, we're quite proud of it. Does very well. It's specific type wine people either look for or they stay away from, I suppose. So I think
So no, not really a specific wine, but more a specific culture.
Yes, in a specific region. Yeah, definitely. Italian Sangioveses are top notch. Yeah,
okay, for sure.
To name one is difficult. It's a very difficult task to think about.
You're playing the safe game.
Playing the net quite broad. So yeah.
Okay, so at home, I mean, I'm pretty certain you've got a secret stash of very incredible wines. In your own personal capacity, your own personal cellar, what's the most prestigious wine that you've got? If you want to share that information.
Yeah, maybe not. Look, the wines obviously don't last very long in my collections. But I think probably the wine that I have or had in my collection, that I think it's finished now, was a Chateauneuf de Pape, which I think in 2005, which I found. I can't remember the producer. Don't ask me the producer, but that was the best probably in our collection. I have to stock up, definitely.
It sounds like it's raining all of a sudden.
Yeah, it is.
You see, so it just happens to be the perfect kind of day for this kind of wine.
Yeah.
So Rainer, enough mumbo jumbo from our side. How's about we actually crack open this wine and get to taste it?
Perfect. Let's do.
Okay, so Reno, now that this wine is officially open, can you maybe just chat us through the production that went into the making of it?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, obviously pinotage based, and we try and aim always for, we find our sweet spot for our vineyards just about 40% pinotage, between 40 and 43.
Okay.
So that forms the basis. We've got two different clones on the farm, so we tend to pick either or of those two clones, again depending on vintage and depending on how the wine is, or the blocks or the variety in that blocks perform that year. And then Cabernet, more often than not, we've got the Cabernet as a second varietal. And then, as I said, a bit of Cab Franc, Merlot, or Shiraz, or some years Petit Verdot.
Okay. And the oaking regime, how long is this going into barrel for?
This goes into barrel for anything between 14 and 18 months.
Okay.
And more often than not, 18 months.
Okay.
We found that works also
It's
well.
like the magic number.
Yes, that works very well. If we could, and we had the capacity, I think 24 months is,
Okay.
is fantastic.
For sure, for sure.
You just see a different evolution in the wine if you can be able to keep it that extra little bit of a time.
Absolutely. I mean, this one is absolutely jumping out of the glass. It's got such a pronounced aroma profile. Again, take me back to the first time I tried these wines. I remember
Yes.
the same thing. I just couldn't believe what I was. You know, the wine is treating you from literally from the nose to the palate to its finish. It's big, but again, we mentioned it earlier. The elegance that shows itself through this wine is something else.
Yeah, it's got to be a combination. You need the fruit aspects and the nice floral aspects that you get, but you also need structure and tannin and body and length in the wine. And I think, I think that again, different varieties come in. Each one brings a different aspect to the wine.
For sure.
One adds a bit more floral, the other one adds more fruit profile, darker profile.
Yeah.
So it all combines, and then that's where the difficulty or the magic is to be able to marry them all, to get them all to work together.
Absolutely. Keep the camera rolling. I don't do this all the time, but really, you need to actually come and taste this wine. It's just that good. So obviously we have Rudy over here. He's the man behind the camera. He needs to obviously just taste this. How's that wine popping on the nose, right? It just feels like a wine that I need to share. And this is one of the reasons why we're sitting here today, because
share.
Again, how good is that? No, don't take away the glass. But okay, Reino, so let's actually cut a long story short here. You know, for as long as I've been in the wine game, winemakers have consistently told me that it takes a lot of beer to produce amazing wine. And because not just me, but everybody out there in the trade wants you to continue producing wines of this quality, I think it's time that you pay the piper and you take on DasBootiful Cape Winelands Challenge. This season's beer sponsorship comes from the Kennel Brewery. Today's beer is the Multi-Yeast Poodle, a wit beer. Yellow, cloudy, Belgium-style beer with a spicy coriander and bitter orange peel flavor mixed with complex banana and bubblegum notes that give wit beer its distinctive character. Okay, Reino, you know the deal over here. Once that beer touches your lips, it's time to shine. It's go time, baby. Over here, if you're looking at the challenge, Hagen right now sits the quickest time at 8:03, so he's the man to beat. But I mean, if you want to play it safe, as long as you finish over here, maybe just above bat, you should be good.
Yeah, just long as it's minutes.
How are you feeling? Are you feeling confident?
No, not at all.
Okay, well, listen, it is time for you to pay that piper and take on DasBootiful Cape Winelands Challenge. So, Reino, on the count of 3, I'm going to count you down. And like I said, as soon as the beer touches the lips, send it. 3, 2, 1. Hey, it's looking pretty decent. It's going well. Oh yes, there we go, a little bit of an air bubble. Oh, you can do it, Reino, come on. You can do it. You're nearly there. Push, high knees. Come on.
Can I tap out?
No, do it. It's only so much left. There we go. Oh yes. This is a great way to start the day, come on.
Not with feet.
Well done, Reino. You made it to the end of the booth. How was that for you?
Challenging. Very, very challenging.
But super delicious, right?
Fantastic.
Would you highly recommend the Kennel Brewery?
No.
Absolutely. So Reino, let's have a look at your time over here.
No.
And your time for DasBootiful Cape Winelands Challenge? 47:04. Hey, listen, it's not about how quick, it's about that you get it done.
Top 5.
So Reino, I just wanted to send out a special thank you for sitting down with us, tasting your wine with us, telling us a little bit more about Idiom. And so on behalf of everybody out there, thanks for the quality that you're putting out into the trade. I think the wines that you produce this side are absolutely world class.
Pleasure, thanks for having
Cheers,
me.
Have a good day further. So folks, that was the Cape Blend being produced over here at Idiom Wines. If you want to get your hands on that incredibly delicious wine, just make sure to follow the links below. A quick reminder that the crowdfunding campaign that I'm running is still a go. If you'd like to make a contribution and possibly stand the chance of winning 12 incredible wines, you can just scan the QR code over here. So folks, before I love and leave you, I'd like to remind you all to be kind and drink good wine.
And beer.
And beer. Cheers, Rainer. Thanks again.